You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Starting from Gorilla.
Hey everybody, welcome back to a new edition of Strutting from Gorilla. As usual, Mikey Cash, Big Vito alongside to provide you with all our wrestling thoughts and opinions on the recent shows. Pay attention down to the ticker below. It's got all our information about our social media, where you can find us all over. We'd love to hear from you guys. And if you can leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, we would really appreciate it. So, Vito, we are here today to talk about Crown Jewel, and we are going to talk about Crown Jewel. It was a pretty decent show, and I feel like it set up a lot of things going forward for Survivor Series. But before we get into that, and as long as you're okay with this, Vito, I know that we're a wrestling podcast, and that's our bread and butter here. We really don't know much about anything else. So but I kind of have something that I need to talk about.
Yeah, I know you do. Let's hear it. Let's get it off your chest, Mikey. Get it off your chest.
All right. So I had the opportunity to go to the World Series this year. It was the Yankees and the Dodgers, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get a ticket to get down there for Game 5. Now, for people that are listening and watching this right now that know exactly what happened in Game 5, no, it did not end well for Mikey Cash and all of the other folks in Yankee Stadium that night. But I just felt like I had to give some thoughts on it because there's some wrestling connections that I started to make. It took me a couple of days, but there's some wrestling connections. But first, I got to talk about just the vibe in the Bronx and at Yankee Stadium. Dude, like it was like WrestleMania season. That's the best way I can put it. When you talk about the electricity in the air, everybody felt it. And every single person that you walked by, strangers, you're all sort of suddenly like best friends. Everyone's just there's this camaraderie that's just going through the air because you're all there to watch the Yankees and the Dodgers. And I was just so excited. I mean, October baseball is so good. And it was just so nice to be a part of it and to be able to witness it. It was amazing. And I got to say, though, I've heard a lot of loud pops in my wrestling fandom. That first inning, that Aaron Judge home run, that pop I've never heard a pop that loud before. And to be a part of it, dude, you should have seen it. It was just that we were all going bananas. And it just, the whole atmosphere was really one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. It's kind of like WrestleMania, you know, when you think about it, right? There's not much of a difference. When you go to a wrestling event, you're wearing your favorite wrestler's shirt, right? When you're going to a game, you're kind of doing the same thing. And there was even some people there that were like, it clearly had like custom like clothes that they had made. There was somebody that I had seen there. They had like this custom denim jacket, and it was like all decked out. It had like the Jeter decals and stuff like that. And they had like the respect with the 2 down the sleeve. I'm telling you right now, it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. If they're not making money off of that thing, they should be. I'm telling you right now, whoever that was, they should be selling that because people are going to want to buy that.
Was it like the Taylor Swift jackets that they had for Kansas City?
Yeah, right. It was like that, dude. It looks so cool. It was honestly one of the coolest things I'd seen. I was like, there's so much work that got put into that, and I don't know how they're not selling it right now. I think a lot of people would be buying that because it's amazing. I think it really would just like add to the vibe of the whole stadium and like to the experience, you know. But you know, whatever. So anyway, just to put it out there, to put it into wrestling terms, how I felt after that game, because they score 5 runs, they go on to the Dodgers end up winning the game. I end up watching the Dodgers celebrate on the field, and it's one of the most like depressing experiences after feeling so elated for a little while. Honestly, man, I started a couple days after I had time to just sort of like stew on it, and once like the sadness and the anger went away, I started just thinking of like, well, how do I like make sense of this? And the way I always make sense of things is like through wrestling, and it's very odd, but it's like everybody that was in the audience at WrestleMania 39. and you had all the hype for Cody. He was back, and it just felt like something was different this time. And you thought, oh man, he won the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of hype around him. He's winning all these matches. You know, Roman's been champion for like 3 years at this point. I think it's about time for it to end. And then boom, 1, 2, 3, you hear Roman's music hit, and like the wind is just sucked out of the whole stadium. It was like that. It was exactly like that, dude. That's the best way I can put it.
Well, especially when they had a lead at the beginning of the game, it looked like things were cruising, and I understand. The final boss came in at the end and just
the final boss.
Yeah, didn't end the way you wanted. I understand the feeling, and you're right. It's very much like Cody finishing the story.
It was a real gut punch. It was a gut punch. But now,
no, I was just gonna say it's cool that you got to go. That's a great experience, and maybe next year the story will be finished. But I understand the feeling. It was like you were back in 1999 again. 98, like back when the Yankees were good, and I get it. I understand the feeling.
It was tough, and now I'm expecting Aaron Judge to come out in spring training or opening day and get the microphone and just say, I need to finish the story. That's what he's got to do. He's got to finish the story. So anyway, that's my spiel about that. Let's dive into some wrestling. All right, let's talk about Crown Jewel.
Very cool that you're able to go to that, and great experience. And like I said, story to be continued. I don't think their Yankees are going to be any worse next year. So
yeah. All right, what did you think of Crown Jewel?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'm going to just take a step back. I hate when the pay-per-views are in the middle of the day, and you just like it just screws me up. Like I'm very much a person of habit. Like I'm used to things being on Sunday night, and that's when pay-per-views are. Like I'm fine with it being on Saturday. I don't really care. But like being in the middle of the day, I forget, and I like don't realize, and I need I don't know. I need the habit part of it. So anyways, I realized halfway through the day when I'm sitting around, oh shoot, Crown Jewel is on. So I put it on. The cool thing was I could rewind and watch it from the beginning and fast forward through some of the stuff that I maybe didn't want to see and catch up. But I think you texted me after Crown Jewel and you were like, what are your thoughts? And I think we both were on the same page. And the way I put it was, it felt like a glitzy in your house pay-per-view where it was very, as you said, transitional, right? Like there was a lot of kind of like building up to other things. But again, I didn't think it was bad. Like not every pay-per-view is going to be a WrestleMania. And I think we've gotten to a point where Triple H and WWE has put on a good product pretty much every time. Right. And I think it was good. It was worth watching. But I also get the feeling that some of the wrestlers like don't really want to be there, and I don't think you get their best while they're there. It's kind of like, all right, let's get out there, do my job and move on. And like I said, I felt like it was very transitional. That was my overall thoughts, at least.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. It's not that it was a bad show by any means. It was like good, not great. It's fine. That's the best way I can describe it. It was fine. I think the purpose of it was to just continue to drive those stories to the next big show, which is Survivor Series. And we'll have an episode about that. We'll cover all that. But, Crown Jewel, I think that the Saudi Arabia shows in general they're trying to sort of shoehorn them in to feel like they're kind of in continuity with the rest of the shows. Because if you look back at just in general what Crown Jewel sort of represented at first, it was just sort of this like special attraction show, but it didn't really feel like it had much meaning to the stories that they were telling on their weekly television. So I think that there's been more of a concerted effort to make it feel like that. Yeah. But in order to do that, you're going to have to make it feel like it's an in your house show, that it's just sort of this is a transition, that we're going to have this little kind of B pay-per-view, as much as they tried to make it not feel that way, and to make, with the Crown Jewel Championship and all that, they get those Dynamite diamond rings.
Yeah, right.
For a year.
I'm sure though, like if you were someone from Saudi Arabia,
Yeah,
that was a really cool show.
I
And
bet.
having those little titles with the rings, I guess, is a cool, like, it's an interesting thought, and I like the way they did it. It's better than having like a merged belt and then unmerging a belt. Like it's
yeah.
like I like the way they did it. Here's my problem though. Gunther versus Cody, in my opinion, could be a really, really good match. And I hated their match. I really didn't think it was great at all.
Why did you hate it? Let's just start there.
The ending. Like if you look at, for some reason, when we watched them in the Royal Rumble, okay, when they went and it was the two of them and they went for like an extra 30 minutes, like it was so intense and it was great. When they were wrestling at the end of Crown Jewel, I felt very much like it was a meaningless fight. Like you're trying to win this title that doesn't mean much. And the ending where he just flips him over, excuse me, was lackluster in my opinion. Like I don't feel like that's how that should have ended. Like Gunther just spent 700 days as Intercontinental Champion, and now he's the WWE Champion, and he wins from a rollover. Like that doesn't really make much sense to me.
So you feel like it hurt Gunther to have him?
I'm not gonna say it hurt Gunther. I mean, I just think it should have been a more balanced ending. Like if you're gonna win. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that just seemed like, okay, you just had a match. These two put on a phenomenal performance when they faced each other at the Royal Rumble, and he wins from a rollover. That doesn't make any sense to me.
See,
like that's just in my opinion. Again, did I think it was the worst match ever? No, those two are great performers. I just like, if I'm going to be invested in it, I want to see somebody win.
So like, I can see that. I absolutely see that. I don't entirely disagree. I think maybe it was almost like right match, wrong show. If that makes sense. Like it's right match, wrong show. And it could have happened on a different stage where maybe it felt a little, I don't know. Maybe
it was like it felt
a little bigger, and maybe they could have, maybe they would have handled it differently, because it was this like this like kind of made up like prize on the line.
That's the problem.
Outside of like the main titles that we're supposed to care about on weekly TV.
That's the problem though. Like if you're gonna make that special,
sure.
Like I feel like it was anticlimactic at the end, and I just didn't love that. It felt like an exhibition for some sort of championship. That's the best way I could describe it. And I don't know, it just felt weird. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like maybe other people, did you feel differently? Like that's the real question.
Well, first, it's a valid criticism, and two, I think where I come from is I always get worried about these champion versus champion matches anyway, because the one thing that notoriously they haven't done a great job of doing when they've had these two separate champions is keeping them separate. Yeah. And so you were already seeing some of the I think the drawbacks of when you try to have them fight is, well, which one matters more?
That's it.
And so it kind of always lends itself to this kind of controversy now, and to this talking online about, well, so-and-so should have won, so-and-so should have lost, that kind of thing. This hurts the momentum of this person. And I can already, you saw that already. I mean, all I had to do was peruse X for like 2 minutes, and you can see people were upset that Cody went over Gunther, and that they've ruined his momentum, and like people get really reactive, and so it's expected. But if they I don't know what they could do here except just avoid doing these things and
Well,
avoid having that conversation. But I guess in their head, some of these things are inevitable.
I think it would have been a great time if Cody was going to lose. It would have been a good time for him to lose because he wouldn't have really lost momentum in it. And it would have put Gunther over as like, okay, well, now Cody has a formidable foe. He didn't lose the title. So what, he didn't win a made up title. And it kind of creates a bigger feud between the two of them. I think by Cody winning, I don't know, in the way he won, it just seemed odd. Like again, my 2 cents on it. Like, again, other people could feel a different way, and that's completely fine. But then I just like, even the excitement around winning it just seemed like like they just neither, like, even Liv Morgan, like, it was like, okay, she won because she had interference help. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. It just, I'm not for it. I'm going to give it time. I think it's better than some of the past Saudi stuff where they have, Shawn Michaels come out of retirement. You got Goldberg and The Undertaker, like all those nostalgia matches, which I like, but just don't really do anything for them. Like it
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on that one. And that's why I'm glad they moved away from that kind of stuff.
Me too.
It's like attraction stuff because it really wasn't working. But I think when you have a pay-per-view that you're kind of looking at as like a transitional one, these are the things you're going to see in it. Is a lot of things aren't going to be definitive. I feel like they're maybe it's just me and the way I'm perceiving it, but I feel like they're purposely moving it so that you get definitive wins at definitive shows.
Yeah.
So if you're going to get a definitive win, you're going to get it at the Rumble, you're going to get it at Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series.
Yeah.
You're not the rest of them, you might get one here and there, but these are the things that are going to help continue the story, because then you and I can say, well, Liv only won because she got such and such interference. Cody didn't win definitively, really. He won kind of the Bret Hart way with the whole like sleeper hold roll up kind of thing. So there's a lot of things there that are like little like loopholes too. Like you won, but
maybe I just it didn't seem like a big moments as you might have thought they would have been. But I'll give it time. You know what? I will give it time. I like the way Triple H is processing, or it might not be Triple H, but I like the way WWE is processing some of these things.
Yeah.
Because they're not devaluing the important parts of wrestling, right? Like,
right.
Even the way they, and this is a little bit off subject, but even the way they split the tag team titles when they did that tournament, I thought was brilliant, right? Like that's a great way to split the tag titles without creating a whole new set of tag titles. Like I thought that was great. It's better than things in the past. Like I like the way they're doing things. It's making them mean more. I still believe they need less champions. I just feel like I will give Seth Rollins credit. He really built that title up, the one that Gunther has, but it still feels like a almost like the Intercontinental title. Like that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like it's the WWE title. You know what I mean? Again, that's just my opinion. And I think because Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar were wrestling once a month, maybe once every 2 months, the other belt meant more for a while, and now Cody's present all the time, which is great. I love that. But now you have two of these like belts that are almost, you don't know what to do. Like,
It's a curse of riches,
Yeah. But I mean, as far as the other matches, I know we talked about that match, but I mean, even the other matches, they were all right.
They were fine.
How did you feel about the Seth and Bronson Reed match?
I actually really liked it. I liked the whole like David and Goliath kind of thing. Rollins is clearly outmatched by this guy's just sheer strength and size. And so the whole story of the match is, how does he survive it? How does he, weather the storm and try to come out on top. So I think that they did a good job of making Bronson Reed look good, even in defeat. I think when they do those things, they're trying to, he has to do like a little bit of extra to actually end up beating him.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that. I didn't feel like it took away from kind of Reed's momentum there. I'm sure other people feel differently. I didn't. I think he still looks good, and I think it was further confirmed in Rollins' post-match interview, where he during the show he's talking about him, and he is really putting him over about just how big he is and how strong he is and how good this guy is and how he was sort of fortunate to come out on top. I don't think he's buried by any stretch here, and probably might end up facing him again, because the way the match even ended, and he just sort of like pops up at the end when Rollins like gets out of the ring, and Rollins like, oh my God, this guy's out of his mind. So I didn't mind it. It was actually one of my more kind of favorite matches of the night.
Yeah, I would say I agree with you on that. Yeah, it was definitely one of the better ones. Then we had the women's crown jewel match. Well, we had the tag team match, which was fine.
It was what it was.
It
was a 4-way match. It was good. Again, it's all transitional, so I think a lot of it is just to further that story with Jade and Bianca, and I just saw some of the clips from Raw last night, and they are furthering that whole Bianca, Jade, will they, won't they? Is there who's got who's back there? So they're already trying to plant some more seeds of doubt.
Yep. And then you had the women's crown jewel match.
I thought that was good. I feel like I'm a little bit of an outlier here because I was such a big critic of hers, but I do feel like Nia Jax is doing great now that she came back. She looks good. She's good in the ring. I think she's more comfortable in her role. And I think that's also a sign of the top. She's got clear direction on where she's going and who her character is. And that gets conveyed in her performance in the ring. And Liv has been busting her ass for the last 2 years to get better in the ring. And it's like only gotten better. So I think when you add those two things together, I think they had a good match. The ending was what it was. I kind of expected a schmaz. It's sort of the way it goes. When you got Dominic involved, he's always going to be involved.
Yeah. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to tell you too. You know what really ticks me off? And it bothers me, and it's only been lately, and I don't understand it. These fake cash-ins of the money in the bank belts. Enough. You're ruining the surprise of the cash-in. Like Damian Priest did it for almost a full year. It happened like 5 times, and I'm like, this is stupid. And then Tiffany Stratton now is doing it. It's like, no. Now you're just trying to get a pop for no pop. Like I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah. Stop this garbage. Like, it's already a weird thing anyways. Just either cash it or don't. Like,
yeah. Listen, it's become its own trope now in WWE.
Yeah.
It's like the story of when will they cash in? How many fake cash-ins are we going to get until it's the real one?
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yep.
They're playing us like puppets, and I don't like it.
No, I don't like having my emotions toyed with.
No, I don't. Then what other match are we missing here? There was definitely another one.
The triple threat match for the U.S. title.
Yes. What did you think about that one?
Honestly, I liked the Kevin Owens Randy Orton fight more. I wish I liked this match more for some reason. I like all three of them, but it just like didn't do anything for me. Just didn't do anything for me. I don't know what happened. But I felt just no connection to this match. I'm just like, okay, it's just 3 guys fighting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they've been doing this whole like the 7 match series already with Carmelo and Andrade.
Yeah.
And like now LA Knight's involved, but like it's not just one of them. Now it's like both of them. So like there's no break.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to have some sort of break here. Like
the only thing I'll say is Andrade, I'm at least a little bit more interested in Andrade this time around than I was the last time or when he was in AEW.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is. I think maybe his match. Like I think it started at WrestleMania, right? Wasn't he on? Was it WrestleMania? When did he? Or was it Money in the Bank where he got his ass kicked and he was doing all these crazy high flying moves? And I think I texted you and said, "Oh man,
Yeah.
Andrade looks good in this match, although he's getting his ass kicked."
Why am I forgetting what it was too? But I know what you're
It
talking
was
about.
one or the
like,
other.
It felt like a turning point for him, and then I feel like he's kind of lost that over the course of this 7-match series. With Carmelo, who I actually really like. I think he's got I think he's got a real bright future here.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I can't remember, but either way, I agree with you on that front too. And then the Kevin Owens and Randy Orton thing.
It's the epitome of what a transitional pay-per-view is.
Yeah.
You didn't even have the match. So now it's just going to go to the next show.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, of course. I would have liked to see the match. Don't get me wrong, but I don't necessarily hate the setup. I don't hate the setup. It's just this was already a transitional pay-per-view, and this just made it feel like it even more.
Yeah.
So I don't have much else to say on it. It's just okay. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens at Survivor Series now.
Yeah. No. I mean, listen. I think the way we just talked about this pay-per-view is exactly the way that we felt about it.
Yeah. Well, we still have one match left to talk about. And it was the first match of the night. I don't know. We went like completely backwards today. We started with the main event, but the opener of the show, the Bloodline.
Oh yeah,
war here again. You know, Solo's team versus Roman's team. You know, I don't know. I thought it was cool to see the OG Bloodline back together. You know, I like that. There's the dynamic of just the difficulty getting on the same page. You kind of saw that story throughout the match because Roman was used to being in the leader role, and now he's like this. You know, the ideas they're both all three of them are on the same level, and so you see the issues with Jay and him of like you don't get it. You're not getting it still. You're still trying to be the tribal chief, and you have nothing right now, and it's all three of us on the same playing field. So I like that story. To me, that's interesting. And I think it added a nice element to the match. The match itself was fine. I mean, it was it felt like just a typical, 6 guys that aren't like super high flyers at this point in their careers. So it felt like, okay, this was just going to be sort of a more traditional 6-man match.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Here's the 2 things that I take out of that.
Sure.
One, I feel like they're setting up for Survivor Series.
The
War Games. I mean, it's pretty obvious, and that'll be a pretty cool War Games matchup. To be honest with you, like I remember when we went to Survivor Series and they had the Bloodline in there against like just random opponents, right? It wasn't like
it was a big 4. It was like KO. I would think Orton was there too.
Yeah, but this it was Sheamus and McIntyre, maybe. Yeah. And it was good, but like the storyline behind this sets it up and it's perfect. And then you got maybe Sami Zayn comes back and he's on their team, right? Like I think that would be cool.
Yeah. And where does the final boss fit in all this? Where does the Rock fit into it?
Maybe he comes
there was
back,
a lot of talk about whether he was going to be at the show on Saturday or not. So now, so he doesn't show up, but is he going to be at Survivor Series? We don't know.
Yeah. And then
more to see.
The other piece I didn't love was the ending. Like, again, it was the ending for me. Like, I feel like it took so much for Roman to get pinned over the course of 4 years.
Yeah.
And it just was 2 Samoan spikes. Like if I was finishing that match, I would have had Solo do like 8 of them. You know what I mean? And just really dig it home.
Sure.
It just felt like boom, boom, like done.
You know what? No, I appreciate that because I was looking at it differently. I was seeing it as, hey, well, this is kind of a sign of how far he's fallen. That he loses the title, he loses the bloodline, he's gone for months, he comes back, he still doesn't have everything.
Maybe,
he just had to team up with Cody.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Talk about humble pie, right? I feel like it's still like as if Roman is in rebuild mode, and this was a setback in that. It was a big win for Solo. I think he needed that win. I mean, that's an affirming win. But
Agreed.
Still, I do agree with you too. I think that's a way to look at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't look at it your way. That's true. Definitely does. The little subtle things there. You're probably right.
Look at this smart conversation we're having about wrestling. Not arguing. Gentlemanly.
Yeah.
Well, listen, did we talk about, is there anything else we need to talk about with this show? I feel like
I think, obviously over the last few months, during the summer, we don't have a lot of time to record as much as we want. I think we should spend like 5 minutes or so just talking about AEW, maybe 10 minutes, because for me personally, I have not watched it nearly as much as I have in the past, but there are a few things that I think are going on that are very interesting.
Have at it.
Well, first of all, I think it starts with the new deal that they got with what is it? I don't even know their names at this point. Those like Time Warner and then Warner Discovery, then whatever it is at this point. The new deal they got, which I thought was very interesting. I feel like their product has been going downhill. And kind of like it's like ebbs and flows, right? Sure. Like there's nothing there that's hooking me to watch it every week, but glad that they're around. But with this new deal, I think it gives them a little bit more stability going into the future. What I find interesting is that now they're going to be streaming on HBO Max or Max, whatever at this point it's called, and it's starting in January, which I find very interesting because that's when WWE is starting on a streaming service. So you can get a much broader audience that way because you can watch it in other countries. You can do all these different things. And I think it's a great feature for them to have. You can see them bringing in some other guys again, right? I know they're former WWE guys like Bobby Lashley. I honestly think that's probably one of their better signings. I know he's older. But he's got a little bit of star power behind him. He's a bigger dude. He's not just your normal like high flyer, like NXT popular guy. Like he was a main part of the roster for a long period of time. And I still think he's good. And unfortunately, he wasn't being utilized whenever Vince McMahon left or whatever they're doing. Like basically ever since Bray Wyatt's match and his didn't happen at WrestleMania, it's been all downhill. But he was on a good roll for a while there where he was going against Brock Lesnar. And I think me and you both talked about it, how we liked what he was doing at the time. And he was going against like Seth Rollins and Finn Balor and really holding his own. So I think that's going to be a great little signing for them. And I hope they utilize him the right way. And bringing back the Hurt Business, I think is going to be cool. I like the Hurt Business. So it's more like, how are they going to actually utilize it moving forward? While they still need to continue to bring up their own homegrown talent. That's what made them great from the beginning, having guys like MJF, Darby Allin, that Orange Cassidy, like him or hate him, he's definitely unique. And so I'm curious to see how it goes. It seems like it's been a bit better.
Right.
But that's kind of how I am taking it right now.
Well, you would know more than me because, quite honestly, I hate to even admit this, but I like we talk about on here all the time. It's why these episodes are very few and far between for us, is because life gets busy, and because of that, I haven't had the chance to really devote as much to AEW. I've had to be really judicious with my time, and there's a lot of time where AEW just like was not the thing for me, so I wasn't feeling it, so I couldn't put my time into it. So for that reason, that's why I'm more. I've just been kind of watching the WWE stuff, but I've been able to see some clips online and whatnot, and it does look. I'm happy with the Bobby Lashley signing. I think that's a good move. I think it seems interesting what they're doing with this new Jon Moxley sort of Blackpool Combat Club 2.0 that they're doing. It's kind of a different shade to his character from some of the clips I've seen. So I'm interested to see what they do with that. And there's all the rumors about Shane McMahon and whatever his involvement is. And if that comes to fruition, listen, I'm going to make an effort to watch, and make sure that I catch up on it. But yeah, Vito, you are my AEW Connect right now, because I haven't had the ability to watch it.
How things have changed. If you go back in
know.
time and listen to our podcast, listen, if there's something we can at least say we do here at Starting from Gorilla, is we are not really biased. Like we are going to tell our opinion. Like if this podcast started because of our disgust for how WWE was going, and we were all about AEW, and man, how that has flipped completely. And that's good. I mean, it's
absolutely
good.
It is.
And I think you're going to have ebbs and flows. I just think AEW's problem right now is like it's shock value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they do a good job, or did a good job, of like having these surprise people come in, and then they don't. It just fizzles out, right? They got to keep you hooked and figure out a way to keep that hook going, and they're not doing a good job with it. MJF was the only one that really could get you to really tune in when he was, before he like left and came back. Even right now, it's not hooking me. Get me hooked and let me watch you. Get my eyeballs on there and keep me interested, because that's what I want. But we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, no, I think we covered what we wanted to cover for today, and I think that's awesome. Good wrestling news. And I think as we move into the winter and us up here in New England start to hibernate, we'll have some more time to do some weekly shows.
Yeah, we'll have more time. So I think we got Full Gear coming up, and we're going to try to give a little a review of that, and maybe we'll do a combo. We'll talk about that in Survivor Series. So stay tuned on that. But Vito, any final thoughts, or feeling pretty good?
I'm feeling good.
All right. Well, I'm feeling pretty good too. Thank you guys for being with us once again. That ticker at the bottom, all our socials, you can find us, interact with us, comment, give us questions, let us know what you want to hear us talk about, and we'll be happy to do it for you. So we'll be on the lookout for another episode coming soon. And until next time, keep on